Hey, algebra. Last math of the year today. In fact, last math of your grade school careers. How does that feel? Other than Eli. Eli, we got one more year yet, but you're getting there too. So I just want to do a lot of the problems right off of your actual assignment day to help speed things up today. And I especially want to practice some of those ones that don't have matching denominators. Those are the trickiest ones. Okay, pay close attention on these first ones, whether you're adding or subtracting, okay? I'm going to keep my denominator the same, right? And then notice I have t minus t, right? So that disappears. And then we have this whole number 3 minus nothing over there, so we end up with just this. And so there's our final answer for that one. Let's do number 4. Just doing a bunch of these. Notice this is a subtraction problem again. Our denominator stays the same. I have c minus c, so that disappears. And then I have 8 minus 6, which is 2. And then if you can reduce, definitely go ahead and do that. How about number 6? And we'll jump down to some of the more challenging ones that don't have matching denominators down below. Notice this is an adding one. Our denominator stays the same. We have 2g, right, when we add those together. And then we have 2 take away 8, which is negative 6. Then if you can divide all your whole numbers by the same number, do it. Notice we can divide all these by 2, so this ends up being g minus 3 over 2. So at the end, if you can divide all the whole numbers by something, go ahead and do that. Okay, let's do a couple of the least common multiple ones in the middle. They're just getting you ready again for finding your least common multiple, which you'll use to find matching denominators then on that bottom section. Let's do number 9. So what you want to do is just list off all the prime factors of each one, right? Okay, there's that, and 12 would be 2 times 2 times 3 times x times y times y. And then remember, your least common multiple, you list every factor that shows up, the most number of times it shows up on one. So 2 shows up twice on both of them, so 2 shows up twice. The number 3 shows up once, so we have to use it, okay? The letter x, the variable x, shows up twice on the first one, so we have to use it twice. And the variable y shows up twice on the second one, so we have to use it twice. So our least common multiple for this is 4 times 3 is 12, x squared, y squared. So 12x squared, y squared is our least common multiple. Let's do one like these. You have to think of these chunks as being separate factors. Okay, so we're going to have a t plus 4 in our common, least common multiple. And in this one, we can divide out something, right? We can divide out a 4. So this one has t plus 4. And this one, if we divide out a 4, we get t plus 4, right? So this one has 4 and t plus 4. Again, you got to think of these as chunks. So what's our least common multiple? We have to use t plus 4 because it shows up once on both. And we have to use 4. So our least common multiple is 4 times t plus 4. Okay, hopefully that makes some sense. That should allow you to do numbers 10 and 11 on your own, I think. Okay, I'm going to zoom way in to give us enough space. You may have to use a separate sheet of paper if you don't have enough room here. It's going to get kind of cramped. It may be a good idea, but I'll zoom in to make my space abnormally large here. All right, so notice different denominators. So we have to find the least common multiple in order for us to solve this, okay? Notice if I list off the prime factors of each, you might not have to do that. You can probably do that in your head, but I'm just doing it easy to make it make sense here. We have to use 2 twice, right? And we have to use r twice. So 4r squared is our least common multiple that we have to use. Okay, so now we need to adjust them both so that they have 4r squared on the bottom. So what would I take this first one times so that it would have r squared on the bottom? Wouldn't I just take it times r over r, right? What you do to the bottom, you got to do to the top. So our first number becomes 5r over 4r squared, okay? Now let's work with this piece. Okay, this piece is 2 over r squared. We need 4r squared on the bottom, right, because that's our least common multiple. So we're going to take both the top and bottom times 4, right, because that'll give us 4r squared on the bottom. So now we have 8 4r squared. Now we can subtract them just like we wanted to at the beginning. So we line them up next to each other again. Okay, now we can solve. Obviously our denominator will be 4r squared, right? I can't combine these. This is 5r and this is just an 8. They don't have the same variable, so I can't put them together. I just have to write my final answer like that. And there we go. That's as low as I can go. I can't divide my whole numbers by the same number or anything. And so there we are, 5r minus 8 over 4r squared. Hopefully that's making some sense. We'll do a couple more together yet. How about number 19? Okay, we need a least common denominator, least common multiple for the denominator, I should say. This one's got x plus 5, that's the one on the right. And this other one would be x plus 5, x minus 5 if we factored it, right? Does that make some sense? That's a difference of squares, right? And so notice how we have to use each piece, the number of times it shows up. Well, x plus 5 shows up once in each, and then x minus 5 shows up. So our common denominator has to be x plus 5, x minus 5. Okay, so let's fix each piece now, okay? Notice we have 3x plus 15. And remember, this was already over x plus 5, x minus 5, right? Because that's what this equals. So we don't have to do anything to that piece. That's really nice. That one already has the least common multiple as the denominator. This one, though, we're going to have to work with. I'm just going to rewrite it right here for a second. We need it to have x minus 5 in the denominator too, this piece right here, right? And so I'm going to take it times x minus 5 on the top and bottom, on the numerator and denominator, right? Because what we do to the bottom denominator, we have to do to the numerator. So that makes our denominator the same, okay? We got matching. And if I multiply this x times both pieces, I have x squared minus 5x, right? And now I can go about adding them together because now we have matching denominators. So I'm going to keep this matching denominator. If I add x squared, there's nothing on the other side to add x squared to. I have 3x minus 5x, right? So minus 2x. And then I just have this whole number that doesn't match with anything. So I put that last. And there we go. We've got our final answer right there with our least common multiple matching denominator. Hopefully this is making some sense. Let's do one last one together, and then hopefully the assignment will go quick for you today on your last assignment of the year. Here we go. We need this to have matching denominators, right? It does not right now. If we factor this, what would we get? If we factor this number, wouldn't we get x minus 2, x minus 2, right? Because that would add up to negative 4 and multiply to give us positive 4, right? And so this one's denominator is just x minus 2. So notice, we have to make the denominator on this x minus 2, x minus 2 for both, right? So let's notice this one already has x minus 2, x minus 2, so we don't have to do anything to this first piece. So I'm just going to write it like that, right? That piece is done. It's got the whole least common multiple. This piece, though, we have to fix a little bit. I'm just going to rewrite it right here for now, right? We need to take it times x minus 2 on both the numerator and the denominator. So our denominator ends up being x minus 2, x minus 2, right? So that's what we've got, right? And then when I multiply these two pieces together, we can just leave it like this for now, x plus 2 times x minus 2, right? Okay, let's line these up. Remember, this was an addition problem at the beginning, right? Sorry, this is a minus. Our denominators now match. Let's write this. Let's do our FOIL method and put it together so we can add it all together at the end. Okay, so we'd have x squared, firsts outsides minus 2x, insides plus 2x, and lasts minus 4, right? So notice this would just cancel out or disappear. So now if I add these two pieces together, what would I get? On the numerator, I'd have x squared, right? And then plus x, right? Because there's just that one x there, just this. And then if I combine these two together, I get minus 7, don't I? And then we just leave our denominator that same, that least common multiple that we made it at the very, very beginning. So these problems do take a couple of steps, as you can see, and as you've realized yesterday too. So again, if you're going to get really cramped and crowded on your worksheet, it may be smart to work on a separate sheet of paper just so it doesn't get so messy. Because sometimes when it gets so messy, you end up making silly mistakes. I know I do, at least. Otherwise, if you can fit it all on there, good for you. You have the remaining problems left to do for your assignment. We did a lot together, so hopefully the rest of it doesn't take you too long. In that top and middle section, you're going to fly through. It's really just these last sets of problems that do take a little bit of time to find that least common multiple and then to solve. Be very careful if you're adding or subtracting. There was a couple times I had to redo a section of this video because I was like, oops, I'm subtracting, or oops, I'm adding, and it's easy to let your brain just kind of go into autopilot and miss that. That's it, guys. You've made it to the end of your algebra year. Very, very proud of you, all of you guys in algebra. You did so well in picking up all this new stuff so quickly. This is the farthest I've gotten in my 3 years in the algebra book, even if we didn't get as far as we normally would have. I really think we would have finished the book if we had stayed in school physically the whole year. But we still got really, really farther than we even needed to get for you guys to be set up well for high school next year, and Eli for taking geometry with the high school next year. So I think all of you guys are going to do well next year, and you have a good base to build off of. from your 8th grade year. So very proud of you guys. Keep up the good work. That's it, guys. Signing off for math for the last time. Have a good day.